Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Nutrition 101 here from Oregon Weight and Wellness. I'm Dr. Julie Gilbert. I'm here with Rachel Matthews. Hi, Rachel.
Hello.
And Rachel, how are you doing since the time change?
Oh, really good actually. I
Yeah.
love the fall time change because
Yeah.
it's go to bed and then it's so much easier to wake up and like restart your whole routine, right? If
Hmm.
you're trying to find a way to get up earlier and maybe get that workout in or get some journaling or some meditation time or just a quiet breakfast, right? Now is the time to do it.
Exactly. Now is the time to
Now is the
start
time.
some new habits. If
Mhm.
you're a person that had a hard time figuring out how to make breakfast for yourself and you're hungry in the morning, if you're, well, first of all, if you're hungry,
Right.
right? And or if you had a hard time figuring out how to make a lunch to take to work or food to work. So now's the time.
Yeah.
If you're getting up earlier because your body clock is in tune with getting up at that time, then yeah, Rachel, it's a perfect time to start one of those new habits.
Perfect.
I
Mhm.
love what you said, maybe some meditation prayer
Mhm.
that you hadn't figured out how to work in, or a new exercise routine. So
Yes.
yeah, very
Yeah.
good, very good.
Yeah.
Or does your body need more sleep, and do you need just turn over and go
Mm.
back to sleep? So
Mhm.
whatever your body needs, ask that question. What do I need? What does my
Mhm.
body need? A new
Yeah.
habit, an exercise. Oh, here's a great time to eat it well. And then I think you said actually sit down at a table,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, yeah. And you can do some of those things together, right? If you're eating breakfast, you can have a cup of coffee or tea and your journal or your
Mhm.
Bible or your meditation or your book. Maybe you want to get in a little bit of reading, whether it's educational or just some self-care. But and I love what you said about sleep. Do you need sleep? No, she didn't say, do you want more sleep?
Right.
Right? Because everybody wants to sleep in on a
Yeah.
work day, right? Everybody wants to sleep in,
Mhm.
or would love to snooze again. But what
Yeah.
do you need?
What is you?
And,
Yeah.
and, and
Mhm.
yeah, have you gotten? Are you trying
Mhm.
to reset your rhythm so that you're getting that 7.5 is kind of the sweet spot,
Mhm.
which is
Mhm.
about 5 cycles of 90 minutes for our full rotation of cycles. So yeah, what do you need?
Exactly. What does my body need? And then if I am going to get up early, or that where that I'm trained myself, or my
Mhm.
circadian rhythm, or that's just my body clock now getting it. For me, it's 5 o'clock.
Mhm.
Or well, I guess it was 4 o'clock this morning, but was it 4 or 5? Anyways, five.
No,
Four is
it feels
five.
later. Right?
Yeah.
'Cause it was 5 o'clock, but it felt like 6 o'clock, so it should have been a little
Right.
easier to get up this morning.
Yes, it was. I was like,
Yeah, right.
but then I need to make sure I'm going to bed, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and frequently when we're trying to switch the sleep our sleep patterns, we realize we're not getting enough sleep or we're falling asleep too late.
Hmm.
It's easier to wake up a little bit earlier than to try to get yourself to go to bed earlier, right? Because
Mm.
a lot of times you lay there, you toss and turn, it gets into your head, you're thinking.
Right.
So just start by maybe setting your clock 15 minutes early or even 10 minutes earlier
Uh-huh.
every couple of days, and you slowly but surely will inch your way back. It's a lot easier to go to bed at night when you've woken up early, right?
Right. So what you're saying is you're going to be more tired
Right.
naturally because you got
Yes.
up earlier. You'll be more tired, and then you won't fight going to sleep. You're
Right. Right. You're not laying there thinking, I'm not tired. I'm not tired.
hmm
You'll find yourself more ready to go to bed a
hmm
little bit earlier every night. And then you can do it slowly. You don't have to wake up an hour earlier right off the bat.
Right.
You can do little
Right.
snippets,
Yeah. Increments. That's right. I
little
like that.
increments.
And a lot of actually, I was reading an article about daylight savings time,
Mhm.
and those changes and how our sleep cycle then is can be messed up, for a while, and how that actually then changes the way hormones are released in our and then it affects our hunger. And
Right.
then a lot of times it affects our hunger for our cravings for sugar and things like that. So I think I was reading that that might be, I don't know, it'd be interesting to see a study. There probably
Mhm.
one out there about the differences in population and people groups and people who do daylight savings times and people who don't mess with their clocks.
Right.
Would that be interesting?
That'd be very interesting. Yeah.
I'm sure it's done. I should do a
Mhm.
little research. If anybody of
Mhm.
you out there have seen that research, just pop it in here. So,
Yeah.
but Rachel, so thanks for that. And we'll keep talking through our
Mhm.
book, or
Mhm.
Michael Pollan's book, Food Rules. Food rules, doesn't it, Rachel? Food rules. Yes. Right. I
Yes,
don't think
it
that's
really
what he
does.
meant. I think he meant rules for food. But
Yes.
yeah, and we're on chapter 23.
24.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Woo.
24.
Yeah, 24. You're right. You're right. All right. What does 24 say?
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah.
Okay. It's in quotes. He's quoting a Chinese proverb, and he says, eating what stands on one leg, mushrooms and plants, is better than eating what stands on two legs, fowl, like birds, which is better than eating what stands on four legs, cows, pigs, and other animals.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Okay.
and he says it's a Chinese proverb.
The Chinese proverb. Okay, so this
Mhm.
is an interesting Chinese proverb,
Mhm.
and of course, so which alludes to eating the plants,
Mhm.
and then first plants and then animals, but not to say only plants or whatever. But so he's saying, yeah, eating. So that's interesting. I love that he points out mushrooms because I love mushrooms.
Yes.
Yeah. And they're so good for you.
They are so good for you. I wish I could rattle off all the ways that they are good for you, but the more and more that I'm reading about them, I'm just like surprised, right?
Mhm.
That it's like I'm seeing them pop up in more and more recommendations for like superfoods. I'm
Mhm.
seeing them really use a lot in protein powders, right? Like
Oh.
like meal replacement types things. They're putting in a lot of mushrooms in these things. And what's
Right,
interesting is
because they are, as far as the percentage of the plant that it's protein, it is a high protein
oh,
food, right? I
okay,
think.
for the percentage of it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because the protein powder I'm using right now uses a lot of mushroom, and I don't know if this is why, but it seems to be I've had to get used to it. It's not a gritty powder or a chalky powder, but it's more stringy. Like I'm seeing
Mm.
little bits. I don't know if
Oh,
those are little
oh.
fiber bits or
Yeah, I don't know.
plant bits, but it's interesting anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you and I were talking about this, and I wanted to share this that with mushrooms are one of those foods that you kind of love them or you don't love them, right?
Mhm.
It's kind of there's not a lot of different ways to cook them. And some people have an aversion to them. And my husband is one of those people. He,
Mm.
he feels very strongly against olives and mushrooms. So for the duration of our marriage, which has been what, I don't even know, 24 years, I think 24 years, there's been no mushrooms and olives in our
No
home.
mushrooms!
What? And I was okay with that. They weren't my favorite. So I was like, I can do without. And I just never really gave them much attention. But
Yeah.
with this recent research I'm doing and seeing more and more about mushrooms, I'm like, you know what? He can be without mushrooms, but that doesn't
Mhm.
mean I have to be without
Right.
mushrooms. And we wanted to bring this up because it's a really important topic for those of you out there who are listening who you have a different palate than your family members or your
Mhm.
spouse or your partner, and you're thinking, how do I navigate what I need or want and what they need or want? So what do you ever hit this, Julie? Do you ever like come against this where you have like foods that the two of you don't like or your kids don't like?
Right. Well,
Mhm.
yes. So when I was raising my 4 children,
Mhm.
yeah, we wouldn't. I'm not going to become a short order cook, Well,
Right.
right.
Yes.
So we tried to make put out the healthy choices, and
Mhm.
then the child chose.
Mhm.
But we also allowed them to. This I don't. This popped in my head to choose a vegetable, because the vegetables were the things that was the most challenging to get our kids to eat.
Yeah.
But to they were allowed to choose one vegetable that they did not ever have to eat whenever I served it. So for one kid it'd be broccoli, and another child was cauliflower, and I remember so then they laugh about it now because they're all in their 20s. And Jacob he chose mashed potatoes, and to this, like, why did I choose mashed potatoes?
Oh,
Well,
that's cute.
but anyway, and then
Yeah.
they could change. You couldn't change every week, but you could change, every 6 months or every year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one way that I dealt
Mhm.
with different palettes. But to be fair, right? Yeah, you just have to think in your head. Well,
Mhm.
you know, um, just because, unless they're deathly allergic to it, right?
Right.
Yeah, just because my child or spouse or family member
Mhm.
doesn't mean I have to go without. So, yeah, those are some of those fixed false beliefs that we
Right.
kind of hang on to for whatever reason. And
Yeah.
then until we get curious about it,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I kind of always thought of mushrooms as something that goes in something, like in a
Hmm.
dish, in a casserole,
Uh-huh.
and then you can't make it without it being in it. But what
Right.
I've realized is for myself, I've been exploring. I'm kind of like new to mushroom land now, right? So I'm
Mhm.
exploring all the, like I'm at the Trader Joe's and there's like four different types: the
Yeah.
cremini and the just the white button and the shiitake. And so I'm
Portobello.
exploring. Yes. What was that one?
Portobello.
Portobello. Yes.
Yeah. Aren't
So I'm
those the big ones?
those are the big guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's the other thing too, is that now I'm bringing those instead of, my husband can bring some sort of a black bean burger or something when we go to
Hmm.
barbecues or family functions, and
Yeah.
I can bring this big giant portobello mushroom for my burger. Um,
Hmm.
but even just fresh mushrooms
Mm.
chopped up, I can have them on the side and toss them into my salad, which I'm a big fan of the base salad, right? So
Hmm. Right.
I can toss them into salad. I make a delicious biome broth, and it's like the gut biome broth, and then I can put the mushrooms into my bowl, right,
Hmm.
and reheat it, and it doesn't have to be in the main stock. So
Right.
I do, though. Don't tell him that I make the vegetable broth with mushrooms and I strain them out. Shh, don't tell him. He has no idea there's like mushroom juices in this soup, but he's better for it.
Yeah. What he doesn't know won't hurt him.
It won't hurt him. It will actually
Right.
help him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are ways to do this, and olives. I have olives in the house, but again, I don't put them in the things that we eat as a family, but I have them to the side, and I can add
Right.
them as I want.
Yeah. Very good. Very
Yeah.
good. So
Mhm.
I did want to say that. Oh, we do want to point out that it was interesting, as Michael Pollan pointed out, that it was
Yeah.
interesting that he leaves out fish. And fish can be with no legs, and
Right.
fish can be very nutrient dense.
Mhm.
Hold on, I'm going to close this door. Sorry. So he leaves out fish, and especially when they're tiny little fish that just ate the algae,
Yeah.
they can be super nutrient dense because they ate the plant, which had the alpha um, linoleic acid, the ALA in it, and then they incorporate it into their system, and then we eat the fish,
Yeah.
mackerel,
Yeah. The little fish.
sardines. Yeah, the little
Right.
ones. Yeah.
Right. Right.
And salmon is another one, not so little, but
Mhm.
and that's why they're so good. So
Yeah.
and that brings me to another point
Mhm.
about another. I don't know if it was a proverb, but it's something that I ate. Is that you really want to eat? If you eat meat, you want to eat meat that ate plants,
Yeah.
which is interesting. Yeah, because if they're going to have a better, a healthier um, um, system for
Mhm.
you. So,
Mhm.
which is really, you got to think about that a lot. Now I will make a caveat there. Is that what that's called? A caveat, a little,
Yeah.
yeah.
An
Okay.
exception. Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I don't
Not an
know.
exception.
Well, I'll make a little
A footnote. I don't
thank
know.
you. Yeah. Something. I'm going to put an add-on
Okay.
additional. Okay.
Yeah.
Not just grain though. You don't want animals that just ate grain
Right.
because for whatever reason, when they eat the grain, actually their omega-6
Liquids. Yeah.
go up, right?
Mhm.
And so then
Right.
you're going to eat all those omega-6s, not great for you.
Right.
Those are pretty inflammatory. So, but if you eat animals that ate green leafy plants like
Right.
the salmon eating the algae
Right.
or the cows eating the grass, um, then your meat and that omega-6 3 ratio is going to be much better.
Yeah, I like that you're really pointing that out. And because a
Mhm.
lot of times I think people wonder, well, why? Why
Mhm.
does it need to be grass fed? What's so important about grain fed? And really it comes down to, a cow in nature is not going to be eating grain.
Mm-mm.
They'll be eating the grain from the original grass, right? And how it's being grown, but not this processed and milled and refined bag of grain. So this
Mhm.
isn't their natural feed. And um, fish, it's better to eat fish that have been eating natural food in the ocean than pellet food, right? So that gets into
Right.
a little bit of that farm raised stuff. That
Right. Right.
pellet food is processed.
It is processed.
And yeah, right. So then what's in there?
Mhm.
And a lot of times it's made up of just ground up other fish.
Right.
So it's not made up of this plankton and the
Right.
seaweed and whatever that
Yeah.
they're eating.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
so this point that you're bringing up about meat, is this kind of, do you think, why we don't tend to eat dogs and tigers? I mean, maybe in other
Probably.
countries, where
Yeah.
that might be their wild game,
Yeah.
but
Uh-huh.
we tend to eat herbivore, right? People
Right,
hunt,
we're herbivores. That's
yeah,
right. Like, yeah, even the
elk and
sheep.
deer.
Exactly. Thank you. Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
they can be and they're usually healthier even than the cow, probably.
absolutely.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
deer or the elk.
That
Um,
wild game.
Mild gain.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're and the taste of that meat's different, but
It is.
yeah. So lamb is another one that
Uh-huh.
eats or is an
Grass.
herbivore. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm. So yeah, so anytime
Interesting.
you can, yeah. I know we have some friends who hunt and fish
Mhm.
and share, which is
Very
really
nice.
very generous. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that's a good point. You want to eat herbivores. If you eat meat, herbivores are going to
Yeah.
be your best choice. And even thinking about some other cultures
Right.
and their traditions, and I'm thinking about Jewish culture, or I'm thinking about even Muslim culture.
Mhm.
They avoid certain animals,
Right.
and maybe it's because of what the animals ate. I don't know.
Right.
Interesting.
It is interesting. Yeah, yeah. Kind of makes you think more about what you're eating, right?
Hmm.
That where did it come from?
Hmm.
Why do I eat this?
Hmm.
Right? And is it healthy? Is it beneficial? How
Hmm.
was the food treated before it got to me? That's a
Mm.
big thing, right? Like
Yeah.
how was it treated? Meaning, how was it grown? What was it fed? How was it handled? Right?
Mm. All that.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I know there are some grassroots initiative to really help improve the quality of the food that we have unfortunately come so far away from in the United States, and
Yeah.
not just the food quality, but then in how the sustainability and how the foods are being raised, whether it's plant or animal. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
so
Yeah. Both sides. Yeah. If we have these monocrops and they're using a lot of herbicides and pesticides, it's not doing anybody any good. And we need to have those rotation crops, right, and cover crops, and kind of using the land a little bit better. So there's a lot of work to be done, but I think we're becoming more and more aware and more
mhm,
savvy, right?
mhm,
Because we have the access to information right there on the internet. We can read any books we want. We can read the studies ourselves. So we
mhm,
don't just have to depend on what it says in the news or the media
mhm.
or what you traditionally have done. You can get the information yourself and
Right.
figure it out.
That's right. Very good. Okay. So, Rachel,
Yeah.
what is for dinner?
What is for dinner? Tonight
Mhm.
is a soup I made. It's a taco soup.
Mm.
I actually was recently talking to one of our patients, and she was looking for a recipe. And this is, oh my gosh, it's the most simple thing, but it is really heavily reliant on canned goods, right? All the different canned beans, and then you can put ground turkey or ground meat in it if you want. There's onion and garlic, and then just a ton of broth, and so it's just this really hearty, very warming, very filling soup. So that's what's for dinner
Mm.
tonight.
Mhm.
We made it over the weekend, and we're going to have that again tonight.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So I have the same kind of idea. I made a big old pot of chili on
Ooh, yeah.
Friday, but this is Cincinnati chili. So this is
Oh,
yeah. So not a little twist from your traditional chili taste. So in
yeah.
addition to the cayenne and the chili pepper and the cumin. It has cinnamon,
Oh,
allspice, cloves, and cacao powder or cocoa powder.
really?
Yeah, yeah. So it gives it just a little bit kind of maybe a Mediterranean kind of twist. And you can serve it 5-way. So I learned about Cincinnati chili when I lived in Cincinnati.
Uh-huh.
And that was during my fourth, I was first introduced. I did a rotation there my 4th year of medical school. And then I did my family practice residency in Northern Kentucky, which is right across the river from Cincinnati. So I spent a lot of time in Cincinnati and was introduced into Cincinnati chili. And now I make it on my own. So it's really yummy. And so you can serve it 5-way. I served it over the chickpea pasta.
Yum. I love that stuff.
Yeah. And then you can put cheese on top of it, onions. And then I also pressure cooked some white beans that I had. And you can put that on top too. So you can serve it all. And
I
then
might eat this recipe.
yes, I will get it to you. So really good. So yeah. And now that it's been sitting in the pot 9 days old, whatnot, all those flavors just really meld together.
Yes. So much better.
Yeah. So good.
That sounds delicious.
Yes.
Delicious.
All right.
I've never heard of chili with those types of spices in it before. That's like so interesting to me.
Yeah, very interesting.
I love
Cincinnati chili. I should add it to today's thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a link or
I could do a link. Maybe I could do a link. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
I'll try.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Rachel, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye. I'm answering Michael. Yeah, traditionally over pasta, and I will post that. It's really good. I made it with grass-fed beef. It was really good. Okay, bye.